Hey, this is Owen. If you're comfortable, leave your first name and state at the sound of the tiny truck backing up.
Hey, Owen. Love your show. Uh, I want to know if you know anything about the LDS Avow. Basically, it's a cult within the LDS Church that's preaching the end of times, and they're actually associated with Lori Vallow, who her children end up missing and found to be murdered. I don't know if you knew anything about it or if you have any thoughts or opinions on it, but I'd like to know what you think about it. Thanks. Bye.
Appreciate that. I had not heard of this before you mentioned it, but when I was listening to the voicemails, I decided to go look into it because it seemed interesting. And as it happens, there is something called the LDS Preparedness Manual. LDS Avow, the movement or the group or whatever it is, they've written preparedness manuals for when the end comes. They wrote one manual for leadership and one manual for general members of the church. And they are not easy to get your hands on, but I did get my hands on one of them. I think this is the membership one. So I figured we'd just kind of scroll through it a little bit, look at the table of contents, that kind of thing, see what it has to say. The title is LDS Preparedness Manual. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and suffer for it. Proverbs 27:12. Oh, interesting. Okay. This is a 2011 member edition. That's what this version is. This is an opening note in the book. The contents of this booklet are intended to assist individuals and families in coping with emergency preparations. However, final decisions on preparation for actions taken during an emergency are the sole responsibility of individuals. No one knows your needs or can take care of you better than you can, nor does anyone else have that responsibility. Okay, let's take a look at the table of contents. Thinking about getting started. Preface, Book of Gomer Parable. Preparing for a repeat of Hans Mill. Preparedness test. Deluxe 96-hour kit. Oh, fascinating. Under food storage, it's got everything you'd need to know about it, apparently. Bare minimum food storage requirements. Do you really have a year's supply? Basic food list. Monthly food storage purchasing calendar. The 7 major mistakes in food storage. Growing and using sprouts. Wow, they are serious about this shit. Infant formula. Pros and cons of freeze-dried, dehydrated MRE, etc. Oxygen absorbers. Here are some of the subheadings under temporal preparation. Okay, but what do I prepare for? Surviving in the city, money, defense, clothing, emergency heating and cooking. All right, we've got to see, okay, but what do I prepare for? Let me search for it. Before you can prepare, you must determine what you're preparing to survive and how each disaster threatens you, your safety, and survival. That will give you the parameters necessary for the following steps. This initial exercise isn't tough and only takes a few minutes of thought. We suggest you jot notes or switch onto your word processor while you work. What's going to happen in the next 5 years? If we knew, our webpage would look different. You'll have to extrapolate, evaluate trends, read the newspaper, conduct your own research. At the very least, take a few minutes and consider your location. Pull out a map and look at what's within a 2-mile, 5-mile, 10-mile, and 25-mile radius of your home and place of work. Put on your pessimist hat and consider what might go wrong that could directly impact you. Decide if that's something you want to prepare for. Here are some questions to ask yourself. What natural disasters or extreme conditions am I or we likely to face in the next 5 years? Make a list and rank them in order of most to least likely to impact you. Your list might look like this. Weather-related, non-weather-related, like earthquake, volcano, or tidal wave. Man-made disasters. War, toxic material emission or spill. Riot or other civil disorder. Fire, government action against you. Stock market crash. Severe depression. Is that a natural disaster? Severe depression? Oh my God, these people. Plague or disease outbreak, comet strike or giant meteor. And then personal emergencies, kidnapping, unemployment, death in family, random acts of violence, mugging, robbery, or other criminal attack, so on and so forth. What are the ramifications of each item on my list? There was another section I wanted to look at. It's at the very beginning of the book. Let me scroll up here. This is the opening, the book of Gomer parable. These are the generations of Gomer, son of Homer, son of Omer. And in the days of Gomer, Noah the prophet went unto the people, saying, Prepare ye for the flood which is to come. Yea, build yourselves a boat, that ye may not perish. I think that this is from the Book of Mormon, or some Mormon writing. This doesn't sound like it's from the Bible at all. I've never heard of Gomer, Homer, or Omer. Now Gomer was a member of the church and taught Sunday school and played, yea, even on the ward softball team. What? And Gomer's wife said unto him, Come, let us build unto ourselves a boat, as the prophet commandeth, that we may not perish in the flood. But behold, Gomer said unto his wife, Worry not, dear wife, for the flood comes, the government will provide boats for us. For if the flood comes. And Gomer did not build a boat. And Gomer's wife went unto Noah, and she returned, saying, Behold, honey, the prophet saith unto us, Build a boat, that we may preserve ourselves, for the government pays men not to grow trees, wherefore the government hath not the lumber to build for you a boat. Oh my God, why is it written in Old English? This is ridiculous. The Book of Mormon was supposed to have been written in like the 300s, right? And then it was translated in the 1800s, supposedly. Why is it written with 16th century, 17th century Old English? This is bizarre, dude. Seriously. And Gomer answered, saying, Fear not, O wife, for I am not the star pitcher on the ward softball team. Wherefore the church will provide for us a boat that will perish not. Is this supposed to be like from like 2,000 years ago? They had softball teams back then? What the holy fuck is going on right now? Am I missing something? Somebody please comment if you're like a Mormon and this is like making sense to you. Leave a comment and explain, because this is making zero sense to me. Zero. Anyway, really fascinating group. I would like to read more of this book. It seems like it could legitimately be useful in some ways, but it does betray the perspective that some Mormons have. The end times perspective that a lot of cults happen to have. A lot of cults tend to believe that the end is coming any 5 minutes now, and they fearmonger about it and tell you should have food stores and all of this other shit. I can see a natural disaster taking place, like a huge snowstorm or a meteor strike or some other thing like that. I get it. It's reasonable to prepare for some things, but Armageddon taking place is not one of those things. It's absolutely ridiculous.